I'm trying to get at I guess the need, the utility of terrestrial radio. It doesn't play the same role as it used to, right?
It's funny that you should mention that, because I pulled an article off the Forbes magazine, Forbes.com, and there was also another article in the Wall Street Journal about, there's a movie out now called The Day the Music Died,
Right.
and they're not doing like a full national release. They're showing it on college campuses,
Right.
and in coffee houses and hip house parties and stuff, and it's two guys who went around the country interviewing people about how the dismal state of the record industry and why we are in the state that we're in. And I forgot your question.
Well,
Sorry.
the major companies and radio play is radio still a factor in marketing records?
It still is our primary window. It's the primary window to get to the largest amount of people. However, with deregulation and Clear Channel, buying all the stations and everything becoming so researched and homogenized, and the playlists getting tighter and tighter and tighter, you have people that turn on the radio, but they can't tell you what they've heard or even what the jock's name is or what the dial position is. It's just background noise to them. And the people who are really musically passionate are going elsewhere. They're going to XM, they're going to satellite, they're going to the internet, because terrestrial radio is pretty homogenized and boring.
So you don't really advise your clients to make much use of terrestrial radio, even though it's still the prime mover of product in this country?
Oh, I would advise them to you want to open every window to a potential consumer that you can. My first line of attack is with radio, because if you can get that elusive radio airplay, then you have a foot in the door and a story to tell. But it can't be your only way to get the word out there anymore, or you will unfortunately get caught behind, well, we can't add your record because we had to add the new Incubus. It's very hard for a new artist to get started on terrestrial radio.
And you must have your list of smooth jazz stations, pop stations, rap stations, all the rest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, and sometimes stations aren't just one thing or another. They have various programs. Do you have a way of judging that station for whether or not, if they have an hour show every Friday night for the blues, do you send them all your blues records?
Well, yes. And the reason for that is in markets where you have that 1 hour of blues show, you have usually a pretty loyal listening audience that are going to be your primary consumer. So yeah, even if it's only an hour show, I found that there are a lot of the non-commercial stations with those couple hour shows that can sell more. Perfect example, in Atlanta, we have WCLK, which is Clark University, and they play jazz and smooth jazz. And we have a commercial radio station, WJZZ. And WJZZ can bang a record. 24 to 28 spins per week is considered heavy at smooth jazz, which is, four plays per day. Clark College can play something significantly less amount of time, but their listenership is a more passionate consumer. The people who are listening to the smooth jazz commercial station seem to be much more passive about it, whereas the people who are listening to Clark are the people who are actually going to go out and buy a Boney James.
Well, do you monitor the success of your programs through SoundScan? Do you check to see if if the show's on that night, what sold the next day?
Well, sometimes it's not as immediate as that, and you can pull up sales figures almost instantaneously now with SoundScan, and you can see bumps in markets. Specifically, if you have an artist go through the market, you can usually see a peak in the sales. We have two separate things that I monitor. I get a weekly thing from Radio and Records, which is media-based, which tells me how many spins my particular projects got on each radio station. So I can actually see that QCD in New York played Lee Ritenour 14 times, roughly 2 times per day. And then I can go and look at the New York sales and see if that's impacting it at all. If they added the record 3 weeks ago and we didn't have any sales, and then all of a sudden we had a little spike. Then you say, okay, QCD's selling records for us. So if they're selling records for us, well then maybe we ought to do a giveaway. Maybe we ought to do something special with Lee Ritenour, or maybe we ought to put a download in their e-blast, type of thing to get more of the word out there.